Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting a like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now today's first story comes from a throwaway account. It has a trigger warning on it of sexual assault, so if you do want to skip the story, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always down in the description along the timeline below. Thank you. It's titled, "One of my 33 female best friends, 31 female, of 20 years, made a move on my boyfriend, 36 male. How would you handle this?" For some context, my best friend, I call her L, was recently cheated on by a long-term boyfriend. Had been living together, but since the lease was under her ex's name, she's the one who moved out. She asked if she could stay at my place while she figured things out. I live alone and I'm rarely home because I spend most of my week at my boyfriend's place, so I told her she was welcome to stay. I work from home 3 days a week and go into the office on Thursdays and Fridays. Since my boyfriend lives almost 2 hours from my work, I usually stay at my own place the night before my office days to make the commute easier. During those nights, I spend time with Elle and check in on how she was doing. One day she told me she was getting lonely staying there by herself and asked if I could spend the weekend with her. I really wanted to support her, but I also wanted to spend time with my boyfriend, so I suggested she come stay with us for the weekend instead. I asked my boyfriend first and he had no problem with it. Saturday morning, the three of us were relaxing at my boyfriend's house, binge watching a TV show. I suddenly craved a bubble tea and asked if they wanted to come with me. The shop was only a few minutes away. They were both comfortable on the couch and said they didn't feel like going out. My boyfriend suggested I just order delivery, but I wanted an excuse to get outside and enjoy the sunshine, so I went by myself. I was gone for maybe 30 minutes. When I got back, my boyfriend was standing in the kitchen making coffee while still watching the show from there. Elle was nowhere to be seen. I asked where she was and jokingly asked why he was making coffee when I had just brought back bubble tea. He told me she'd gone upstairs to the guest room. As I reached for my phone to call her down, he stopped me and said, "Before you do, I need to tell you something." He explained that while I was gone, Elle noticed something on his shoulder, dust or lint, and brushed it off. He didn't think anything of it because it seemed harmless. Then, without warning, she leaned in and kissed him on the cheek, close enough that it was almost on his lips. He immediately pulled away and gently pushed her back, completely caught off guard. He said he didn't even know why, but he walked into the kitchen and started making coffee even though he didn't actually want one. I think he was just trying to process what had happened. According to him, Elle immediately apologized and said she didn't know what had come over her before going upstairs. It felt like someone had pulled the floor out from under me. I couldn't even think of a response. I trust my boyfriend completely. In all our times together, he's never given me a reason to question his honesty, so I never questioned what he was telling me. I was devastated, not because of him, but because of my best friend. Honestly, never imagined she would do something like this. Oddly enough, I wasn't even angry at first. I was just confused. Why would she do something like this after what had happened to her? I told my boyfriend I was going upstairs to check on Elle. He asked me to go easy on her because she was already in a terrible emotional state after everything she had been through. I knocked on the guest room door and tried to sound cheerful. "Bubble tea delivery for my best friend." Instead of answering, I heard sobbing. When I walked in, she was sitting on the bed crying. She looked completely broken. Seeing her like that made it hard to stay angry. I still couldn't stop thinking about what she had done, but I also couldn't ignore how devastated she looked. I decided not to confront her immediately. Instead, I comforted her. I told her everything would be okay and that her ex didn't deserve her. She cried even harder. After a few moments, she admitted everything. Without me saying a single word, she confessed exactly what my boyfriend had already told me. She said she didn't know what came over her. She wasn't thinking clearly. For a moment, she wasn't seeing my boyfriend as my boyfriend. In her words, she saw someone else and acted on impulse before reality hit her. I still don't fully understand what she meant by that. She said she immediately realized what she had done after my boyfriend pushed her away, and she was deeply ashamed and embarrassed. She kept apologizing. My closest friend group consists of just 4 women, including Elle. I don't want to tell the other 2 yet because I don't want to damage Elle's reputation if this is something we can work through privately. So I'm looking for outside perspectives. One last detail. Later that night, I remembered our living room camera. Even though I fully believed my boyfriend, I still watched the footage to see exactly what happened. His story checks out. Now I'm wondering, if I trusted him completely, why did I still feel the need to check the footage? Does that mean I subconsciously doubted him? Or was I just trying to process something that felt impossible to believe? I'm grieving the loss of trust in a 20-year friendship. Is this something you could ever forgive, or is this friendship over? What would you do in my situation? Oof, absolutely messy situation. I think both OP and the boyfriend handled it with a lot of compassion, but I still don't think I'll be able to brush off what Elle did either, because whilst Elle confessed to what had happened, the comment "I wasn't seeing him as your boyfriend" would just leave me with questions, and she's crossed a huge boundary here, so it doesn't really matter what her explanation is in the end. And I wouldn't even worry about checking the camera, because you've just been told that by one of your best friends of 20 years had done something completely out of character. That's going to knock anyone. So of course you wanted to see what happened for yourself. I don't blame you for that. But a commenter says she's definitely going through a rough time, but you can't take care of her anymore. She did this the first and only moment she was left alone with your boyfriend. This isn't just crossing a major boundary. If this was the other way around and it was one of your boyfriend's friends doing this to you, putting his mouth on your face close to your lips without your consent, you'd consider it sexual assault, right? Or at the very least sexual harassment. Well, she did that to your boyfriend. Even if it was an impulse and you want to believe it wasn't malicious, she still needs to go somewhere else, and you need to give this friendship a break. Commenter says, there is also the very real possibility she is the cheater and is lying about the circumstances of the breakup, or there was mutual cheating, etc. Wouldn't believe anything she says, given her actions here. Opie replies saying she has eyewitnesses and screenshots of the conversation between her ex and his co-worker. A commenter, who was downvoted, says, people here are so happy to throw away a 20-year friendship over a stupid mistake. I'd tell her I understood she's in a shit place. Hash it out, and if she's truly repentant, I'd wipe the slate clean. Assuming boyfriend is also happy to do that. Don't tell anyone it happened if that's the route you decide to take. We're flawed, messy humans, and she's not a monster for making one action if it is indeed the only one. Opie responds saying it really is out of character. She never crossed boundaries before. The only thing she cheats on are a diet and exercise sets. Lol. And when we played hide and seek when we were kids, she'll go home and watch TV, and we ended up looking for her for a while before she comes out, and that's about it. She never really showed interest in any of our partners. They're not even added to her social media when she created a private one. She deleted her main account when her last relationship had gotten serious. I don't know. I may be naive and stupid, but I don't know. It's a mess right now. Thanks for your insight. I appreciate it. Commenter says, I'm going to add a take here that I haven't seen yet. Everyone else's comments are spot on, but there's one thing that sticks out in my mind. Why would she do this? The boyfriend knew the camera and footage would exist, so doing anything with her at that moment would be silly. I wonder, and I'm just thought experimenting here, if he was giving subtle signals to her that made her do it, but in a plausible, deniable way. She didn't know the camera was there, so she made her move. He knew the camera was there, so did what he needed to do in the moment. Not to say the boyfriend didn't act correctly, or that you should be interrogating him, but everyone seems to not be analyzing the why she thought she could make a random move on the boyfriend and get away with it, and just tucking it away into her breakup. Not necessarily actionable, but something worth considering. Opie says thank you for your input. His reaction was immediate, pushed her back, stood up and walked away. A knee-jerk reaction is an instinctive reaction, not a staged performance. As to giving subtle signals, they were just sitting there, watching and talking about the show on how King Joffrey deserves a much more brutal death. Commenter says, yeah, I'm not saying that's what it sounds like. It's just my method of always considering every angle and eliminating them, especially the unexamined ones. If you entertain this point of view for a few months and don't find anything that supports it, great. But I've seen cases where people consider the point of view and then realize that they were missing a bunch of signs due to their situation blindness. Always worth the exercise. It's the hindsight is 2020 phrase in action. Once you know the truth, all the little things pop up and are seemingly obvious in retrospect. If your friend's hidden on him becomes a pattern, ask yourself what is the common denominator. That said, sounds like you have a keeper. Opie says, I understand and I appreciate it. I take all opinions and perspective I can get to help me navigate on this one. So Opie comes in with an update and says, for everyone who asked for an update, first of all, thank you. I genuinely appreciate all the advice you gave me. Some of you were absolutely ruthless, lol, but honestly, I think this naive heart of mine needed it. A lot of your comments gave me clarity. especially the ones about the camera and boundaries. They helped me see the situation more objectively and gave me the courage to make the decisions I needed to make. After my conversation with Elle that Saturday morning, I went back downstairs to check on my boyfriend. He told me he was okay, and at the time I accepted that answer. Looking back, I also want to thank everyone who reminded me to really check on him and not just assume he was fine. In everything that happened, I unintentionally overlooked the fact that he had gone through something upsetting too. That afternoon, I drove Elle back to my place. I wasn't about to let her commute while she was in such an emotional state. The drive was almost completely silent. She didn't start any conversations. At one point I asked her, "What do you think would have happened if my boyfriend hadn't pushed you away?" She quietly said she didn't know. Then she told me that she hated that she put herself in that position, that she was sorry for causing all of this. That was the only real conversation we had. When we arrived at my place, I stopped the car before she got out and told her she needed to find somewhere else to stay. I told her that when I come back on Wednesday night, I will be needing the space. She simply nodded. As she walked towards the house, she turned around and looked back at me. That moment broke my heart because I couldn't help thinking it might be the last time I'd ever see my best friend. I started tearing up, but I drove away before my emotions convinced me to take it all back. Monday night, one of our friends noticed something was off and messaged our group chat to check on Elle. It probably wasn't surprising. Elle and I are usually the ones constantly blowing up the chat, and they've been unusually quiet since Saturday. After a little small talk, I was just lurking, Elle confessed everything. She told them exactly what she had told me. Friend 1 immediately left the group chat without saying a word, then she called me. Friend 2 stayed. She tried to mediate and later messaged me privately. She said she's sorry for everything that had happened and said she needed to stay with Elle because friend 1 had already made her position clear. I told friend 2 that I thought staying with Elle was the right thing to do. He also asked her to keep an eye on Elle and encourage her to seek professional help. She promised me she'd try her best to make it happen. Fast forward to today. Elle and I still haven't spoken since that day, but friend 2 occasionally updated me. According to her, Elle has started seeing a therapist and has been in a much better spirits lately. Friend 2 let her stay with her the day after she confessed everything. Elle has since found her own place and moved in yesterday. Friend 1 still isn't speaking to Elle. She told me she won't consider reconciling with Elle until I've forgiven her. Not because she wants to pressure me, but because she feels she can't move past what happened while I'm still hurting from it. Honestly though, that isn't what weighs on me. Whether friend 1 forgives Elle is between them. What weighs on me is losing someone who'd been my best friend for years. I miss her every day. But one piece of advice that really stuck with me was to pause the friendship instead of making permanent decisions while emotions are still fresh. That's what I'm doing. I'm giving us both time. As for my boyfriend and me, we're doing okay. We've had lots of honest conversations since everything happened, and I apologize for not fully realizing how much the situation affected him in the moment. He's been more understanding than I probably deserve, and I'm grateful every day that he chose to face this with me instead of letting it drive us apart. Since Elle seems to be doing much better now, I'm also going to stop asking friend 2 for updates. I think continuing to check on her from a distance isn't helping either of us move forward. I know some people will probably be disappointed that I haven't ended the friendship completely. I understand why you think I should end it. I'm not asking you to agree with me. I'm simply not ready to make that decision. For now, I'll continue with no contact for weeks, months, maybe even a year. I don't know what the future looks like yet, and I don't think I need to decide today. If, after enough time has passed, I feel ready to revisit the friendship, then I'll make that decision with a clearer head. If I don't, then I'll accept that too. If there's one thing this experience taught me, it's that people can make terrible decisions without being terrible people. That doesn't make those decisions okay, and it doesn't mean there shouldn't be consequences. At the same time, loving someone doesn't mean protecting them from the consequences of what they've done. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for them and for yourself is to step away. I also learned that good intentions don't replace healthy boundaries. I kept thinking that because I trusted both of them, everything would be fine. I know now that trust doesn't mean assuming everything will be fine. It also means having boundaries that protect the relationships and people you care about. As one commenter pointed out, I could have avoided putting everyone in that situation by simply spending that weekend at my place with Elle instead of bringing her to my boyfriend's house. That was a poor judgment call, and I can't change that decision now, but I can learn from it. Again, thank you to everyone who took the time to offer thoughtful, honest, and sometimes brutally truthful advice. It genuinely helped me more than you know. I hope none of you ever have to experience something like this. And for those who have been through similar heartbreak, I truly hope you found or will find the peace and healing you deserve. A commenter says, you don't need to end the friendship. Like I said in the first post, I truly believe her head was fucked up and she made a genuine mistake. Everyone came clean right away and there was real, I fucked up energy. She's getting help and it didn't get out of hand, even though it shouldn't have happened in the first place. I really think you can forgive her and have your friend back if your other half is okay with it. It's been overlooked, but he's the real victim here and a stand-up guy. Also, your one friend is true ride or die. OP responded saying, my boyfriend and I had a real open conversation about this. He told me it's okay with whatever I decide, but I want to be mindful not to overlook his feelings like I did before. If the time comes, I'll ask him how he feels again. If he still leaves it up to me, I'll decide. If he no longer feels good about revisiting the friendship, then that's that. Also, your one friend is true ride or die and then says, Elle was this until she did what she did. Commenter says, amazing how quickly Elle was able to find her own place. Elle is someone who has zero impulse control. I don't know how you would ever be able to trust her again if or when you decide to rekindle the relationship. The trust has been broken, and that's incredibly difficult to rebuild. Right now, I think you're grieving the loss of a relationship that you invested your whole heart in and believed was built on trust. Unfortunately, once that foundation is gone, it's almost impossible to get it back to what it was. Best of luck to you, no matter what you decide. Opie says thank you. I appreciate you sharing your perspective. It makes sense why you think she found a place quickly, as I left out a few minor details like the fact that she was already staying with me and actively searching for her own place before things escalated. I was focusing on getting outside advice on the core situation, so I didn't think those were necessary, but I appreciate your feedback regardless. And it sounds like OP is dealing with a situation that is best for them and hopefully the boyfriend at the same time too. But it was odd that there seemed to be some comments that were criticizing OP for taking Elle to the boyfriend's house, which to me, I wasn't bothered by that at all in that situation. It seemed like the right thing to do at the time. OP checked with the boyfriend and was just caring for the friend who was in a difficult place. So I don't know who was criticizing OP for that, but that seems a bit wild to me. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Now our next story is one that's been covered in the past, but with a new update as well. So if you want to skip certain parts of it, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always down in the description, along the timeline below. Thank you. It's from Hefty Sprinkles 5723 from the Relationship Advice subreddit. It says, I, 32 female, think my husband's 40 male mistress is stalking me. We're separated after I found out he's been having an affair with the same person for years. I first found out 5 years ago, and we worked things out. He swore he'd ended things with her and I believed him. We had our last child, 4 male, during that period. Since the year started, I've been getting messages on Facebook and Instagram from accounts with no followers telling me my husband was having an affair. The DMs had details about the trips he had taken with her, how they go on dates and have a child together, and all his friends, mum and siblings knew her. I asked him often if he was still seeing her, and he denied it. What pushed me over the edge was when I saw earrings and a scrunchie that weren't mine in my car after he had borrowed it for a day. I went through his phone and saw that he was still with her. They even had sex tapes, and he was constantly telling her how much better sex was with her. He loved her and he wanted to be with her. It's obvious he's gotten very strong feelings for her. He admitted to everything, including the child they have together. I left the house and went to my mum's to take a break. We've been officially separated for a month. The problem now is that his mistress keeps showing up to places I go to often. The playground I take his kids to, the bookshop where I buy their school supplies, where I take the girls to get their hair done. We went to get ice cream once and I could have sworn I saw her. I know what she looks like from the pictures and videos they have together. I feel like I'm going crazy. These are all public places, so there's nothing I can do about it. She just sits there and stares at us. It's making me very uneasy. What is the best way to address this situation? I can't ask for her to be kicked out of a public place. She's always with her daughter anyway, so it never looks weird that a woman and a child are at the same place I go to with my kids. I'm not speaking to my husband unless it's about the kids, and I don't want to ask him yet. A commenter says to OP, you don't need relationship advice, you need legal advice. Start with a divorce and then discuss the stalking. Have everything written down, time of day, date, where, were your kids with you, all of it, and stay off social media. About to go to Excel with the kids or whatever. The attorney can advise you of the possibility of a restraining order. Talk to an attorney immediately. Opie says, I don't post on social media. My last post was from 2019. Commenter says, you should make a police report. Opie says, I can't easily get a police report since she's not trespassing. They're all public spaces. Sweet Lobster says, is it possible she planted an AirTag in your car? Opie says, I doubt it. My phone would have picked up on it. Little Dog Lover says, totally on your side here, but I'm just thinking. If these were her spots and your husband was taking your kids to meet her there, could she be thinking and feeling the same way you are? Like, wow, this lady is obsessed with me. She keeps showing up where I am. Because technically, your husband piggybacked off her spots and shuffled them onto you without informing you she would likely be there because it's her routine, not his. It could be a little of both due to the DMs, but honestly, I'm thinking she's just doing her normal outings and you started showing up. And perhaps now she's more intentionally going just to see if you'll be there. I don't know. This is a crazy situation. Best revenge is happiness. This marriage is over. I'd focus on getting out and your own happiness. Start going to different places and building up different friendships. Opie says that might have initially been the case, but now that she's intentionally switched up her routine, it's no longer a coincidence. So Opie comes in with her first update and says, thank you for all your advice. I confronted my husband about it. He said he's not showing up at places I go to. I'm the one going to places she frequents. My husband used to be the one who took the kids out on weekends since he's virtually never at home on weekdays. I do school pickup and drop off and he does the fun stuff. All the places he used to take the kids to, which I'm doing now since they're with me, were suggested by her. That's where she buys her books. The playground is where she used to take her nieces and nephews before their daughter was born. She recommended the salon to him since my daughters and her have the same hair texture. He says she used to go to the salon on Sundays after church, but only recently switched it up for Saturdays when I take the girls. The ice cream place is apparently her favorite. So yeah, my dick of a husband had been taking our kids to his mistress's favorite spots. My kids already love going to all those places, and finding a salon that caters to our daughter's hair needs close to us will be difficult. He didn't show any remorse telling me about it, and reminding me that it's a public space and she hasn't committed any crime. I'm just going to have to find better alternatives. A commenter says to OP, so if he is telling the truth and not covering for her, that SOB was seeing her in these places too, with your kids. Start looking for alternate spots. OP says, my kids said he didn't introduce anyone to them. They're the chattiest kids and would have mentioned it. I think she just gave him ideas on where to take them since she used to babysit for her nieces and nephews. Kate's DT says, talk to a lawyer and file for child support now, while you're still navigating the legal side of separation. You can have a temp child support order in place while you navigate the rest. In the US, whichever mum files first will get the largest contribution of his income for child support. If she files first, she'll get a higher percentage than you, despite your children being older and products of the marriage. Also, find new places to go. Find a new salon. Take the girls on an adventure to find new places that are not tainted by him and her. Give her 100% less headspace. She's an idiot for standing with a married man. You deserve better. Opie says, I'm not in the US, but I'm working on putting together everything for a lawyer. A commenter says, the fact that she was anonymously messaging you before everything came out makes this feel a lot less accidental. Maybe some of the sightings are coincidence, but constantly showing up at places connected to you and your kids would make anyone feel unsettled. Honestly, the bigger problem is that your husband allowed this whole situation to become so tangled and invasive for years. Opie says, maybe she got tired of waiting for our marriage to end and decided to tell me. There's no way of knowing if it was actually her or not. Commenter says, turn off location sharing if you're using it. Kids' devices too. Check around your car for a GPS monitor. Opie says the kids don't have any devices and we never share our location. Turns out she knows where I go with the kids thanks to my husband. Opie comes in with a mini update and says, we haven't spoken since our last conversation where he said she suggested the places I take the kids to, which was why she kept turning up too. We only communicate about the kids now. I took my kids to a new salon which is about an hour away from the previous one. He's going to be the one taking them to other places on weekends now, so I'm no longer going to worry about meeting her. So after 2 months, Opie comes in with another update and says, we're getting a divorce. My lawyer assures me that the whole process shouldn't take more than a year. My husband's mistress has apparently been accepted into a graduate program in another country. My husband had been planning on relocating with her. She'd be leaving before the year ends and he was planning on closing his business, selling his assets and leaving with her. He was just going to leave under the guise of a job opportunity and after enough time had passed for separation, filed for a divorce. At least we both get what we wanted this way. Our oldest daughter is very attached to him, and I worry a lot about how she'll take the news. How do I explain to our kids that their dad is leaving the country and will possibly never return long term? I'm so sorry that Obi had to go through this. It's absolutely brutal, and with any story with children, it always bloody gets to me because I can't get past that. His oldest is apparently very attached to him, yet his plan is basically to announce some job opportunity, move abroad, and then eventually divorce their mother once enough time had passed. And it sounds like he's just going to abandon them and move on. That's the way it sounds like in this story. It doesn't sound like he's going to be making any further contact. And it's the husband who created this entire situation. He lied for years, involved his family and friends in that lie, had another child, and was apparently preparing to leave the country without even being honest with his own children. It pisses me off. I genuinely don't understand how someone can make plans like that, knowing their child adores them. The adults can deal with consequences of the choices they made, but those kids didn't choose any of this. I think he should be the one explaining in this situation, but bloody hell, what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. Truly, it is absolutely amazing. And hopefully I'm going to see you in the next one. Take care and much love.